I'm just tired of this picture floating around, like people make it sound like the white man was out to get him. Look what he did. Look what he did. Look what the white people did. They whitened them people up. They did that. Yeah, and they chose to sleep with them. And they're not all friendly to being the blackest as possible, because in Brazil 9 years ago, they didn't want this woman to be the carnival queen. They took away her damn crown, the Miss Carnival for Brazil, because she was too black. Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. Baby, this is not going to be a long video. I don't think it will be. This is my famous little rants. I have seen this picture floating around on social media for a few years. People keep talking about this picture, and it's called the redemption of Ham. And when I said it's the redemption of Ham, I kind of almost laughed a little bit, because I said, are you serious that this is what it's called? We know that people believe that when you're a black person, that you were cursed by God, the curse of Ham. It's a made up lie. I do not descend from Ham. I don't descend from Ham. But there are people who believe that when it comes to the Bible, that, oh, well, he saw his father naked and he got cursed and said that he would be the servant of all races. And he cursed Ham, even though it was Canaan, the son of Ham, who was cursed. And allegedly, from what I heard, the Canaanites had died out. But people have stuck with this, and they felt like because of our position as a race within society, the history of slavery, oh, then it must be true. It must be black people that's Ham. Now, there are people who are saying, oh, no, the South Africans or West Africans are Ham, and the black Americans are Shem, and the white people are Japheth, and the Asians are Moab. None of this has been proven whatsoever. There's no physical description of damn near almost everybody in the entire Bible, except about 2 or 3 people, okay, who had melanin to their skin of bronze, and very, very dark skin, okay, and which is usually found in Africa and a few parts of the world, like in India. So besides that, okay, so hold on, let's see real quick. This image is called Ham's Redemption. I'm going to say why. This was created in 1895 by Spanish-Brazilian artist Modesto Brocos. I hope I said his last name right. Okay, so this is a very famous painting because you see the very dark-skinned grandmother is praising God, praising Jesus, that baby is now white. Okay, so you have her standing over her daughter, who was biracial. Her biracial daughter then got with, I guess, a Spanish or a Portuguese white man, and then they made a baby. So people often use this picture to show this is how you whiten up the bloodline, and that there was a campaign in Brazil, because this is a Brazilian artist, but almost all over Latin America and in other countries, but in Latin America, Brazil, and all this stuff, to whiten up the bloodline, to import people from different countries with a white population. Look, I have to say something you're not gonna hear. They're not victims. Stop. I don't like when I see people, they show this picture, oh, look, they were the whitening agenda. No one, excuse my language, can make you F somebody you don't want to F. No one, a white person did not hold a gun, a weapon, to black men and women's head and said, you must sleep with me. You must procreate with me. You must do it. If you don't do it, this and that. They were not forced. They did a lot of countries. What makes it different than American black slavery, they did not have chattel slavery like over here in America. Okay. Yes, slavery existed. Yes, they were colonized. Yes, a number of them willingly slept. Later on, you notice how proud a lot of Latin people are of their Spanish ancestry, because they didn't have chattel slavery. They were not all held down and raped. And yes, some of that did happen. We know that the slaves that came from West Africa that went into these lands, we know a lot of those women were also raped. But later on down the line, a number of them were not. They were having these relationships with the Portuguese and the Spanish, being very proud of that ancestry. They didn't have chattel slavery like over here for hundreds of years, like a farm animal. Okay? Let's just keep it all the way real here. I'm not saying that it was right. We know the history of slavery was terrible all across the globe, but the system, okay, The system of how some of them operated was different because they were different types of white people. Over here, a lot of the white ancestry and blood is coming from England, some with the Irish, and Irish weren't even treated right in the Scottish. A lot from England and everything, versus over in Latin America, a lot of their white ancestry is from Portugal, from Spain, okay, with different cultures and different ways of how they operated. I had read about how there were Portuguese men, I think it was in Brazil or in some country, where they actually bought homes for the black women for them to live in and the children, and sent them to school, and they were not making their children be slaves. It's a whole thing, okay? But black people love to show this picture. It's like, y'all, they're not a lot. Yeah, you cannot, when people say it was a whitening program, they were not forced to fuck white people when this stuff happened. They didn't have to sleep with them. And it's like some of y'all out here, even today, you keep talking, it's an agenda and it's an agenda. I'm a grown woman. I know what a biracial baby is. I know what sleeping with a white man is. I know what comes from that if I get pregnant. I know what a quadroon is. I know what an octoroon is. It's not rocket science. So it's kind of weird, like when I hear black people say, oh, it's an agenda, a program. I'm a grown person. You don't think we can't think for ourselves? You don't think I can choose if I want to sleep or be with a white man in 2025? There's no program making me be attracted to them. I find some of them to be physically attractive. Just like I find some black men to be physically attractive, and Arab men, and Indian men, and Asian men. And I can make a choice as a grown adult if I want to talk to them. And people will say you can't help who you love. You can decide who you give your phone number to and who you entertain. You make the choice for something to possibly occur. If you wanted to choose to only date black people so that nobody of a different race ever has a chance to talk to you and have kids with you and smex with you, that is a choice. So you can choose who you entertain. Okay? Now, yes, you can catch feelings for people. Sometimes it happens. You hear about people working together on a job. They're different races and they're friends. And next thing you know, they start looking at each other a little bit different. Why? Because you recognize beauty. People cut the crap. People recognize when somebody is physically attractive. There's a such thing as universal beauty when a lot of people find you attractive, no matter what the race is. They think you're pretty. You think he's handsome, but because of the taboo and the history and people being afraid, or they talk about, oh, well, so many people are racist. So, if I have kids, oh, that's going to hurt the kids, as if I'm responsible for the racism that people have. And I should have to suffer? No, I don't believe in that. I believe I should be happy with who I want to be happy with. But I'm fully aware that if I have a baby with a white man, that baby is half white. And if my baby that's half white has a child with a white person, then the baby will then be 75% white. And in some cases, they still don't look fully white, but they get closer and closer to looking more fully European. So this picture right here, she's praising God, praising Jesus that baby is white. And you know what people don't want to address? They will try to shame, like, oh, look at them. Look at how they were. Imagine what a black woman was going through during the times of slavery. No protection. Black men wasn't fighting for her. In that world, in that system, being black was like being a curse to a number of them. You're enslaved by someone. You're a servant. Somebody gets to grape you and sleep with you whenever you want, and nobody comes to rescue you. There's no black men coming to fight for you. So why is it hard for people to even wonder why some of them wanted to have turn white? People will criticize it, laugh at it, and shame it, but they don't have empathy to imagine what was going through the heart and the emotions and the brains of slave black women who had no hope and saw that nobody, not even of their own race, was coming to rescue them. And the only way out was to be born white. Let's just keep it real here. I'm not saying that I celebrate women who might have passed. Okay, I have a relative who passed. Okay? I'm just saying that no one ever thinks deeply about what the black dark-skinned woman especially went through. Even if you weren't dark-skinned, if you were a slave woman, imagine the hopelessness they felt. Imagine what they felt seeing that they're black men, and they're going to get mad at me for saying it. Imagine what they thought not seeing them rescue them. No one coming to save them. Praising religion's force on them, and they still weren't saved. And they thought it would just be so much easier if we turn white, because what are we going to do? They never thought slavery would end. That was hundreds of years ago. Slavery lasted for hundreds of years. Do you know how damn long that is? And they never thought that would ever end. Imagine what they went through and what they were thinking. Okay? It goes beyond, being white, if they thought it was beautiful. And there are beautiful white people and black people and mixed, being biracial, Asian, Indian, everybody. It's good looking people on the whole planet. It was deeper than about white skin. It was about status, freedom, and the hierarchy to not be a slave no more. And that's why that woman probably was celebrating it during that time, the way that their life worked. But the thing that I don't understand is that I'm tired of black people acting like everybody's some sort of victim who decides to mix with somebody. It was a choice. A lot of black men in Brazil, since this was Brazil, a lot of Brazilians celebrate the fact that they are very mixed up, and as to why a number of people find them to be very attractive. They celebrate it. It's kind of weird how so many people look down on interracial dating, but then always praise Brazil and how beautiful Brazilians look, but yet they wouldn't look that way if they had not mixed so heavily. So in 1 minute, people are saying, oh, you shouldn't mix. But then you see Adriana Lima and Sharon Menzos or something, and you're like, oh, they look so beautiful. Yeah, because they mixed up. And then if you say that, are you saying that they're only beautiful if you get mixed up? That doesn't mean that other people who are not as mixed aren't attractive. They are attractive in every race, but being mixed creates a lot of diversity. That's how you get the green eyes, the brown eyes, the wavy hair, the curly hair, the big lips, the thin lips, the unique features that came from mixing. You can get offended, you can get mad all you want to. I mean, most of society has agreed on that, and it doesn't mean that people who aren't have mixed ancestry are not attractive. It's about people's facial features. But Brazil, a lot of people agree globally, even here in America, that Brazil has a high amount of very attractive people on average, and a lot of their ancestry is African, European, and indigenous, just like here in America, except theirs is a little bit more heavier. And yeah, some of us can resemble them, but we know the history, and some of our families are mixed up. But y'all know exactly what I'm trying to say, so don't try to switch my words around. The point is that everybody will say don't mix, mixing is bad, but then you praise Adriana Lima or another a Brazilian with browner skin with pretty features. It's like, and then you say, oh, Brazil is so mixed. Now y'all are trying to push this Brazil is the blackest place outside of Africa. That's not true at all. In fact, a number of them were very happy that they got mixed up to look the way that they look. Oh, baby, I'm taking it there with this video, okay? A lot of them weren't all victims when it comes to whitewashing countries, because nobody forced their asses to have to lay with white people. Now, when slavery first happened, that was happening. But later down the line, a lot of them chose white partners. They chose it. You can come up with any excuse. You can talk about brainwashing. You can say whatever you want to. At the end of the day, they chose. They were not forced. And the white Portuguese people that was there, they weren't forced to sleep with them either. They found each other attractive. And yes, there were white people who had more money and power, and they got together. Okay, it is a choice. Even right here in America, nobody is holding weapons to our head, making us be with other people from a different race. We do it because we feel like it, we're attracted to them, and we want to for different reasons. And that's something that a lot of people just cannot seem to accept. Okay, this is not the slave days. Okay, let's see. In the 19th century, the idea of whitening society from the Portuguese spread to Brazil, an ideology that sought to erase black features from the population. They wanted to erase them. That's the part that people are not getting. They were fine with it. They had biracial kids. They know what them kids look like, and they knew what octoroon kids look like, and they didn't stop doing it because they didn't have a problem with it. Wake up, okay? It says that during the first decades of the 20th century, okay, not the 1600s or the 1700s, industrialization, immigration, and urbanization brought a more pessimistic view to the country. the two world wars brought the expansion of nationalism, combining the idea of race with the construction of nationalities. In Europe, the idea of eugenics was held and decimated, and various scholars, okay, I don't have all of that. Yeah, people talk about eugenics. Women wanting taller men is eugenics. A lot of people practice eugenics. Wanting an attractive person for your children to be attractive is eugenics. Eugenics is a part of a lot of human beings, whether you admit it or not. People want to breed with people who are physically fit, men who are tall, women who have features that's deemed attractive within society. And it's not just looking as white as possible. It's attractive facial features, healthy growing hair to people, a nice shape, a big, all these things. But I'm not here to argue about it because it can't be stopped. I no longer give my energy arguing about things that cannot be stopped, cannot be changed, and not in my lifetime. I don't believe that one group is better than the other based on race. I believe that all races have very physically attractive people in them. To me, it's about symmetry in the face. And some people get angry when people say that, but it's true. Balanced facial features, a balanced, nice face, nice bone structure, nice eye shape, and things like that. So look, clear, smooth skin and stuff. But everyone likes different things. Not everybody's attracted to the same thing. I might find a man very good looking that y'all don't find attractive at all, but he's good looking to me. The point is that no matter what people try to say, during the time when people were being imported from these European countries during the 20th century in these countries, black people there, they made a choice. They made a choice to F them and to make kids with them. And it didn't just stop with those kids. They saw what those kids looked like and they kept doing it. They didn't care about that. A lot of Brazilians will say they didn't see race. I don't believe that fully because they're still oppressed over in Brazil, even though they're like 50% of the damn population. Okay. And then I see black people keep trying to romanticize Brazilians and everything just because, oh, well, I had a good time. Oh, I fit in with them. Yeah, because you're mixed too. But let me remind you of something that nobody wants to talk about. Y'all keep trying to push that Brazilians are so black and they identify as being black. That is a lie. Brazil does not, being black in America means you have African ancestry. So you can be 70%, you can be 60%, you can be 50%, you could be 40 or 30%, and you can still be, that's how it is, our history here. Okay, and people can say what they want, but we're all mixed together and became who we are in America. The thing is, though, is that most of the world doesn't operate like that. That's the one drop rule here in America, how we have survived and operate. And our family members are mixed people and all types of stuff. That's literally who a number of us are. Some people not as much, okay? But they're saying Brazil has the largest amount of black people outside of Africa, with over 100 million people identifying as black or preto or mixed race pardo, making up over half of the country's total population, according to the data. Now, the Pardos who are mixed are now the majority group, reflecting their deep African roots from the slave trade with complex racial identification, while officially around 10% identify as preto. Combining preto and pardo, 45%, shows over 55% of Brazilians have significant African ancestry. Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. I noticed that a lot of Pan-African people, you keep trying to blackwash these people. These people are not fully black. They're not. They are triracial people. And you can tell that when you look at them. I don't care how dark the skin and their hair textures, their facial features, and it's diversity over there, but it's the truth. It says that Pardo, mixed brown, represent 45%, 92 million. White is 88%, and Preto, black, is only 20%. Only 20% of them identify as being black. Combined black and mixed, it then becomes 55%. The fact of the matter is most of them identify as being mixed race, but y'all keep trying to force this just identify as black. They're not just African and they don't identify as that, but because they have melanin in their skin or they look related, you keep trying to make it sound like they're the blackest identifying people. Yeah, they're proud of their African roots, but that's not all of who and what they are. A number of them. But I noticed this agenda to blackwash Brazil. Do whatever y'all want to do, but the fact remains is that 45% of them don't even identify as being black, and they're not all friendly to being the blackest as possible, because in Brazil 9 years ago, they didn't want this woman to be the carnival queen. They took away her damn crown, the Miss Carnival for Brazil, because she was too black. They felt her skin color was too damn dark to represent Brazil. Most of them are either very light or caramel or brown skin. They're not as dark as this, and they didn't want her to represent Brazil. Look at the title. You can look up the video right here on YouTube. Too Black for Brazil, The Guardian, from The Guardian. Okay? Nayara Justino. This was in 2013. I did not forget about this, and the reason that I'm showing it is because I'm tired of y'all trying to paint this picture that they're so black friendly. They have a limit of how black they're willing to go, just like most of Latin America and right here in America too. Let's just keep it all the way real. So that is all for now. People like to visit Brazil, okay? They're known for their good bodies and having positive attitudes. Their men also treat their women like black men have treated black women in America. A lot of them beautiful women. They're not even married because their men discriminate against them towards the white Brazilian women, which shocks a lot of people. So I'm not romanticizing Brazil. Okay. The point is, though, is that a lot of people were not forced to procreate with white people during after slavery, when this whole whitewashing agenda thing, those men chose. And the women probably, like what you're seeing right now, some of them, after being left and disrespected, went to white men, and all of that. Y'all know what it is. So have empathy, too, for the slave women from those days. Imagine what they were thinking and what they went through, like I said. Not only that, but I'm just tired of this picture floating around, like people make it sound like the white man was out to get him. Look what he did. Look what he did. Look what the white people did. They whitened them people up. They did that. Yeah, and they chose to sleep with them and had them biracial babies. And then they had their biracial babies go to a white person, too. And they saw it. All of it go down and continued it, because they didn't have a problem with it. So that's all I have to say for this video. I mean, look, y'all can get mad if you want to. At the end of the day, not everybody cares about turning white or looking more white. And they might think they look good too. They just don't care. Some people don't care about what some of y'all care about when it comes to the bloodline and black, this preserved. Not everybody cares at all. Not only that, but people say, oh, you can wipe it out. I mean, if you had a octoroon or a quadroon grandchild, they can get with somebody black and then give you more blacker great-great-grandkids. It flip-flops. That's what happened here in America. Somebody biracial gets with a black person, and then they ended up with somebody white, but then they ended up with somebody biracial, then they ended up with somebody black. I'm just saying. So let me know what you think about this. Do you feel like people in these countries that was supposedly whitewashed when they imported all these Portuguese and Europeans in these countries, do you feel that they were really victims? I'm not talking about when the slave trade started happening and we know the African women were raped. I'm talking about later down the line when they were importing and they were not being raped and got with white men and women. Okay, do you really feel like they are victims? All right, like they couldn't think for themselves. People always want to paint this picture like everybody has low self-esteem. A lot of people know that they look good who have, as they say, more blacker features and stuff. Okay, they're not everyone suffering from low self-esteem or thinking bad things about themselves. But it's also things when it comes to power. Some people pair with them for power back in those times because they were tired of being at the bottom of society and the way things were set up in that country and around the world, where they felt like, oh, well, you know, if I have these kids, they stand a better chance within society. Again, the empathy for the slave women who had no men within their own race to come and rescue them during those times. What do you think, again, what they were thinking? And can you have any empathy towards them? So look, that is it, y'all, for today's video on this topic. This is a sensitive topic, and look, I said what I said. A lot of things are of the past, and some of it's still kind of happening now. So, and people have the right to be with who they want to be with. My whole point is that no one is forcing us. I date who I want to date because I feel like it and I'm attracted to them. And if we have a child, I already know what can happen. So, we're not all being brainwashed or I'm being forced to date a different race. Oh my God, the agenda. It's no agenda for me. I know I can make a choice on who I will allow to even talk to me and who I talk to if they're a different race or not and all that other stuff. So I can't stand it. Like with all these black men. Oh, it's an agenda. The CIA, the FBI is working. No, baby. Black men have been abandoning black women for a minute. This is historical. Even in different parts of the world before slavery, there's no agenda. They've been very vocal about not choosing a number of black women today. And I don't just miss me with that bull crap. They made a choice. They're making choices on who they give their time to. I don't give a damn where he lives. He can do online dating. He can travel to see a black woman. They're making choices. They're men. Men pick. And when a man wants something, he finds a way to get it. Because people will bring that up. Well, it's about proximity. I grew up in a very diverse neighborhood. And I had diverse tastes when it comes to the type of guys that I like. But if I wanted to only date black, I could do that. It's a choice that you make. Okay? When you have these guys in sports and stuff, if they wanted a black woman, they can make that happen. It's not hard. It's nothing difficult. They can go to a part of town where they know black people are, or do online dating or matchmaking, sir. It's not hard. They're men. Men choose the women that they want. So stop with all these conspiracy theories and acting like we don't have brain cells, like we're little children who can't seem to make adults about who we decide to sleep with and date and marry and all of that. Okay? So that is it. And I feel like people who feel like there's these agendas, if you care that much, then go get married to somebody of your race and make babies instead of complaining and obsessing over black people who interracially date. Like, get a life and go make black babies, a lot of them, together. Those who are very pro-black and always concerned about who we're dating. Go get together and make all the black babies and everything, and stop complaining and obsessing over who black people date, because you're not going to stop anything. And black people are fully aware about having a biracial baby, or if the baby will be an octoroon, and their children's children, all that other stuff. And that's all I have to say for this video. So please like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell. Click all notifications. Okay. Let me know what you think. Maybe there'll be a part 2, because I didn't even have my notes written down. So there's a couple of things that I'm actually missing that I didn't say. And look, I don't have an issue with people. We can all get along, date each other, travel, and all that stuff. But not everything's perfect, and I have to just tell the truth about what I have observed. So you all take care. Please get the likes up and click the bell for all notifications so you know when I'm live.